Yeah, that's why usually the Batman movies really work, is because it's about a damaged guy who's trying to do good and get past his damage, right? So it's an interesting character. Superman always poses problems because it's a perfect character that is almost impossible to beat, who comes in is trying to do right. There's no character arc, there's no room to grow. So it's not that interesting for audiences to watch, usually. Welcome to the Risk Reward Show. Today, Starbucks' future in China, the Epstein list, throwing BRICS at the BRICS summit. We're reviewing Starlink. Is it for you? Scott got one. Can Superman save the DC and Warner Brothers universes? Plus, the usual forecasting and predictive nonsense and much more. Stick around. Coming at you in case you don't know anything about the show. Live from Los Angeles, where I live, and Tel Aviv, Israel, where Robert lives. There's no drama in either of these places at all.
No, it's
the most
everything's
places.
calm skies. You know, we don't have to look up and wonder which bird is going to shed in our eye on any particular day. By the way, I've trained 2 mynah birds to eat grapes off of my air conditioning unit right outside my living room window, and they chased away a blue jay who thought he would steal one yesterday. The 2 mynah birds, these birds have been coming around for a couple years. It's a couple, male and female. I assume the bigger one is the male. But what's funny is that the bigger one has actually gotten fat off of these grapes the past week. So I might have to pull back on the diet, which is going to piss them off.
I love that.
But
that is a great story.
Anyhow, let's start off with the New York pool incident. Well, this 4th of July, a father of some children in the Bronx built a swimming pool on the street, literally on the street. If you don't believe me, folks, go to the New York Post. This pool was asked to be taken down by the police about a day into the festivities, but some of the locals saw that the kids were having so much fun, they decided that it shouldn't be taken down. The gentleman spent a couple $1,000s to build this pool, and it looked like a lot of fun. And some kids started climbing up onto scaffolding, apparently, and jumping into the pool, we used to do when we were in university, and having a couple beers too many at the fraternities and jumping off roofs into pools.
We did that in my apartment building at USC. That was a pastime at what was it called? Not Mardet. Can't remember. Anyway. Yeah.
This was done in Tucson, Arizona, near the University of Arizona also. I did not see it much in Chicago because you would have been jumping into a skating ring that had basically frozen over from the swimming pool.
Or a green river.
But here's the thing. This pool stood for a few days. Then it got pulled down by people unknown. But for a few moments, some sunshine hit.
That is a nice story. Somebody should start coming up with t-shirts saying, "Free the pool." You know, bring back the pool.
There's a business opportunity there for you.
Did I tell you, speaking of that, of t-shirts, did I tell you this, that I came this close to 2 weeks ago to trademarking the words alligator Alcatraz, because I heard about that before. No, actually, no, I could have had it. I just decided at the last minute, this is not a good idea. But what I was going to do was, because I heard about it, like, it was just like briefly referenced in a news blurb on a Thursday, like 3 Thursdays ago when it first came out. And then it kind of went viral the next day on Friday and that weekend. And then ever since then, people have been talking about it. But before people started talking about it, I heard this on the news. I was out doing an errand. I'm like, okay, hold on. Turned around, came home. I looked it up on the USPTO website, which is where you go if you want to trademark something or see if something's already been trademarked, at least in the US. And it was available. Nobody had taken it. You know, at least it hadn't shown that anybody had registered it yet. I think it was free and clear at that moment. And my thinking was, okay, here's what I can do. I'm going to trademark this. Go after anybody that tries to make up any merch, which millions of people have since then. It's all over like Etsy and stuff. And use the money to send to like immigration attorneys trying to like represent people who are being unfairly treated. I came that close, dude. And I thought, what am I doing? My life is complicated enough, but it's a good idea if anybody else wants it. And then I could also use that and create a screenplay out of it. I've written a lot and sold a lot of screenplays that are either horror
Oh,
related or action related, and that thing just writes itself. I guarantee you
well,
somebody's already working on that. There's probably going to be 10 of those all floating around the marketplace within a month.
let's talk a little bit about the LA incident that happened earlier this week with ICE going after, it looked like, an LA pot growing facility,
Yeah.
which got a lot of attention. I want to know your opinion on that. Apparently, they did find plenty of illegal aliens in there.
Yeah, so it was I don't believe it was in LA County. It was north of LA County in I think it was in Ventura County, which is next door to our county. Um, and there's a lot of strawberry fields. That's where you saw those people running through the strawberry fields being chased by ICE that a few weeks back. I think it was somewhere
The
there, but it
same
was
area?
licensed. Yeah, same area because there's a lot of farming north of LA. But it was all, from what I understand, it was a legal. It was a legal operation. It was not
No,
illegal.
no.
Now, here's what bothers me about that story is
Yes.
that okay, so
It destroys the
it's a
pot supply in LA for the summer. Is that what
no,
worries you?
nothing will destroy that. That's everywhere. No, the thing that bothers me about that whole story is that there were children on the premises.
But if it was a legal entity, that's all right to have a daycare system there. Anheuser-Busch or
That's
some
true.
liquor
Yeah,
companies probably have daycare systems,
very good point.
one
Very
or
good
two.
point.
You
Yeah,
know, I'm just
maybe it's
arguing
that.
from the lawyer standpoint. But if they were
Yeah,
illegal immigrants or migrants, all right, let's
yeah.
step away from swamps, swimming pools, pot farms in LA, and discuss a movie that actually might be doing well, apparently. The last couple days, it was said to be attracting large crowds upon its opening, the new Superman movie. Now,
Yeah.
before we get into this, I've seen social media trying to interpret this movie politically. I haven't seen the movie, but people are trying to read too much into the film already and talking about it in an allegorical manner. I'm just wondering what you've heard about the movie, if this is the blockbuster that Hollywood has been waiting for, and are there any other blockbusters on the way?
It's ridiculous. People slap this adjective woke on anything they don't like now, which completely misses the point of what that word originally meant 5 years ago. But if you're going to call this movie, I have not seen it yet, but if you're going to call this
Hmm.
movie woke, it means you've got to call every Superman movie woke because it's about a guy who it's always the same character, and he's trying to. I mean, back in the 40s and 50s when it became popular, it was he was looking for truth, justice, and the American way, right? Specifically, that's how it
Hmm.
always was
Yeah.
about. And when they brought it back in 1978, they embodied that, and most of them have embodied that since. Some of the DC ones, more recently, the last 10 years, have tried to go darker with it because it's a difficult character to pull off, unlike a similar DC superhero who's easy to pull off, which is Batman, because that's a damaged character
which
who has room to grow.
which I
When you
really
have
enjoy.
yeah, that's why
Uh,
usually the Batman movies really work, is because it's about a damaged guy who's trying to do good and get past his damage, right? So it's an interesting character. Superman always poses problems because it's a perfect character that is almost impossible to beat. Who comes in is trying to do right. There's no character arc. There's no room to grow. So it's not that interesting for audiences to watch usually. So James Gunn, who directed it and is now running the DC universe for Warner Brothers, did a great
mm,
job. Was super smart about it. He's the guy who's behind the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. So he always comes in with a little bit of just sort of like, sort of punchy humor, makes it feel like these grounded, interesting, funny characters that are in this ridiculous world of a universe of,
mhm.
of villains and stuff like that. And it works. It brings humanity to it and it's fun to watch. So he brought that kind of spirit to Superman. And according to most people have seen it, it's getting positive reviews and people like it and they're going back to see it, and that's catching on with word of mouth. So it's having a great weekend. It's going to make well over $100 million this weekend. It'll probably have legs and it'll hold on. My guess is it'll make over $500 million. Good for that
Domestically
movie.
or including global audience?
So no, that would be global. Their main thing is they want to reboot the DC cinematic universe and make it
Mm,
more in line with what Disney's doing with Marvel, which they did a great job
mm.
up until recently. And there's a little superhero fatigue. So
What's the average
yeah,
cost of a ticket for going to a movie now in LA?
it's a lot now. Ticket prices have gone up between they used to
What's the
be
average price?
They used to be 10 or 11, 12. It's now close to $20 a ticket in some
Whew.
places. Yeah, in the
Wow.
city.
It's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Are there other blockbusters on the way this summer that they expect? How did the Scarlett Johansson movie do? She apparently was in some kind of Jurassic Park
Yeah,
remake or something like
yeah.
that
Yeah,
a
a lot
couple
of the
weeks
big
ago.
blockbusters that people were sort of looking forward to, they typically
Mm-hmm.
premiere in May and then June. So we've sort of seen the
Mm-hmm.
first wave of those, and that was one of them. It was the Jurassic Park reboot, and that's gotten mostly positive reviews,
Okay.
but they're comparing it to previous Jurassic Parks, and the last couple of them really underperformed. They were not very good. This one's supposed to be better than them. Again, I haven't seen this one yet either.
I got thrown out of the first Jurassic Park movie in Chicago
You did?
because it was a crowded movie house. I did not enjoy the movie because I could tell what was going to happen. And when the dinosaurs started threatening to chomp on people, people were screaming, and I was kind of laughing. Not
Mm-hmm.
kind of, I was laughing out loud. My friends were looking at me. They had been to the movies with me before. They sort of knew that I could be a problem child at the movies. And I yelled out to the crowd, only the lawyer will get eaten. Stop worrying about everyone else. And sure enough, the lawyer got eaten. Well,
Did you
some
really
guy
guess that
comes
without
down with
knowing?
the some guy comes down with the flashlight and says, "You, the theater." And I said, "Are you going to refund my money?" He says, "Yes, but get out of the theater." I said, "I'm coming." And I
Oh.
got thrown out. I saw it maybe later on TV or something
Mm-hmm.
with Jeff Goldblum and what was Laura Dern, I
Laura
believe, and a couple
Dern,
other people.
yep, and Dickie Attenborough, Sir Richard Attenborough.
Mm,
And fun fact, I at the time that movie came out, I knew I was friends with Laura Dern, somewhat.
mm,
My wife and I hung out with her a couple times, and she was a client of ours at an agency that I worked with a couple years before that movie came out. So we stayed in
okay,
touch a little bit. We don't now, but she's just
okay.
a great person, by the way.
Yeah, it seems like she's well
Yeah,
grounded.
super sweet and very smart. But at the time, it was fun because I had already also met Richard Attenborough several
Mm.
times because we were when I was a
You
story
called
editor.
him Dickie, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, we all called him Dickie. That's his friends called him Dickie. Just a really nice old guy, like Sir Richard. I mean, he's a knight. He's like, I don't need that. Call me Dickie. Anyway, but he would come
Let's.
into our company frequently because we were developing a project with him. I can't remember which one,
Mhm.
but this was at Carolco Pictures, and I was a story editor there, so I was part of the development team. Just super nice guy. Anyway, so it was fun watching that movie, watching the two of them interact.
Let's talk about Batman for a split second. We're old enough to have seen the Batman shows from TV in rerun form. I mean, that's when we saw them. We didn't really see them, I don't think, when they were being shown live in the 60s on the television. There are a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of rumors
I know where you're
about
going with this.
Batman and that TV show and Adam West
Mm-hmm.
and some of the frolicking that was going on offset with
Mm-hmm.
Adam West
Allegedly,
and
yeah, and Burt Ward too.
allegedly, and
Mm-hmm.
What is
Burt
it?
Ward. Burt Ward who
Burt
played Robin.
Ward.
Yeah.
Yes, apparently well, Adam West apparently was friends of the ladies.
Yeah, there are stories that have come out of that thing. It was such a phenomenon when it appeared. It was only on for 2 or maybe 3 years,
Three
but it was
years,
such a
3 years.
phenomenon that they were like rock stars. They were like the Beatles, where women kept throwing themselves at them, and apparently they just enjoyed every minute of it, both on set and off. I mean, then like the honey wagons and all that stuff.